Welcome, everyone. It's Friday. We have made it. That's exciting. I am just making sure my connection seems slow today, so hopefully you all can hear me. I am again going to go live in my Facebook group and live in Instagram. So I'm going to do them both so I can answer everyone's questions because I know we have a lot of questions and a lot to talk about today. If you are on Instagram and you have a Facebook account, be sure and join me in Serenity Sleeper Sleep Squad. That's where I share a lot of videos, blog posts, tips, go live often, and we have a lot of good engagement there. So head over there if you are on Facebook as well. First, let's talk about, you'll see my shirt today. I've had a lot of comments on this shirt today. And I want to know, does anybody else love Peloton like I do? That has become, during this quarantine, Peloton has become one of my favorites. And I actually don't have a bike or the treadmill. I just have my own treadmill, and I use the app, and I love the app. It has become my favorite workout little partner, because you can choose workouts from 5 minutes to 60 minutes. You can do everything from strength to walking, to core, to treadmill boot camps, bike boot camps. My mom does have the bike. She absolutely loves it. I've never tried the bike. I don't know why. But just curious if we have any others that love Peloton like I do. And it's really motivating. So I know as moms, we don't get a lot of time to ourselves. But I will tell you what, like I will put it on my calendar and I'm going to do it. And I choose my favorite people to follow and my favorite instructors that really get me motivated. So I really encourage you to get that app and just try it. Just do a 5-minute workout. A lot of things you don't even need any equipment, so it doesn't need anything. But just curious, who else might be a Peloton person like me? And it's really saved me during this quarantine, I'll tell you guys that. So, welcome to our Friday. This is a weekly Friday. I go live every Friday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And today I'm going to be talking about nap expectations, and I'm going to be talking about all your questions that you have for me. We have a lot of good questions again this week, and I'm going to answer those live for you just because a lot of times the questions are easier for me to answer live versus trying to write things back to you. So I like doing it live if I can. Somebody said I haven't worked out since I was 20 weeks pregnant when the world shut down and need to get back into it. Hey, this is the best. Peloton, I'm telling you, is the best way to get back into your workouts. Trust me. You will love it. Just try the app out, and I promise you will not be disappointed. And I always tell people, they're like, how do you stay motivated? What do you do? And I just put it on my calendar, and I find a workout that I'm feeling that day. Like it might be strength, it might be a treadmill boot camp, it might just be a 10-minute core. Just find whatever you are looking for, and I'll tell you my favorites are Jess Sims, Olivia, and Rebecca Kennedy. Olivia Amato, I believe is how you say her name. Sorry if that's not right. But those are my 3 favorites. They just really get me motivated, and I love their music. Especially Jess Sims and Rebecca Kennedy have really good music that keeps me motivated. So I hope that helps. So let's talk about our nap expectations. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is naps are a challenge. Naps are a challenge from newborn till preschool when they give up the nap. And the reason they're a challenge is because they are a true science. So in the day, we don't have the sleep pressure built up at night. Our circadian rhythm isn't pushing that sleep pressure like it is during the night. We don't have melatonin set up in our body like we do at night. And day sleep cycles are just different. So when you have a baby who's taking a 30-minute nap in the day, it literally is that cat nap that rejuvenates them. And if they aren't able to link their sleep cycles yet, they're going to either need a lot of help getting back to sleep, they're not going to go back to sleep, and you're going to have short little choppy naps all day. Because it truly is like, oh, I have that cat nap and I'm ready to go for a lot of them. When we talk about sleep cycles, once babies exited the newborn stage, usually one sleep cycle is anywhere around 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then a lot of times that's where you see those serial catnappers happen. So we're going to talk about what we should expect for naps at each age, starting from newborn all the way till we rid the nap. So just so you know that we've got to be realistic with what we're expecting from our child. So first, let's talk about the 0 to 2 month range. So 2 to 3 months, we'll say 0 to 3 months, really. Naps are more on demand. Naps are usually more assisted. Naps are usually more erratic and chaotic. A newborn sleep patterns are much different. They don't have anywhere between 8 to 16 weeks. They don't really know specifically, but somewhere in that time frame is where melatonin's starting to set in place. Their sleep hormones are starting to regulate on their own, and that causes a lot of problems with naps as well. So everything, we see a lot of day-night confusion, especially from 0 to 8 weeks happening. We might have where they sleep all day and they're up all night. So the internal clock is very erratic from 0 to 3 months. And it's very normal. You're going to have a baby that needs more assistance. You might have more on the naps, on the go naps. You're going to have a baby, wake windows in that 0 to 3 months range are usually 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. So if you have a brand newborn, a 2-week-old who literally wakes for a diaper change, eats, and goes right back to sleep, that's all they can handle. You have to remember at the newborn stage, even a diaper change is work for them. Feeding is huge work for them. It exhausts them. It tires them. So they are napping round the clock. So that's normal, and keep those expectations normal. Here's where it gets tiring and frustrating for parents with the newborn age. You may have a child who naps like a champ the first 4 weeks, 6 weeks of life. You could be at a rock concert, you could be at the grocery store, you could put them in their crib, and they might even nap like a champ, and you're like, I got this down. This is great. They are napping fabulous. Nothing's going to stop me now. But the reality is, once those sleep cycles start changing, and once we start looking like an older baby, those naps are going to get short. They're going to get choppy. They're going to have serial cat nappers. That's what their body does. So what's most important from 0 to 3 months is to make sure you're getting the sleep in place when it needs to happen. You need to watch their wake windows. You need to let them nap when they're supposed to nap. Practice in the crib or the bassinet when you can for a nap. Lay them down. See what they can do. See if they could put themselves to sleep initially. Maybe they put themselves to sleep for only 20 or 30 minutes, but they put themselves to sleep. Take that as a win. They might need you to help them back to sleep. They might need you to hold them to sleep or rock them to sleep or finish the nap on you. That's okay. You're practicing. So be realistic and watch those wake windows. Again, yes, you might wake them up, change their diaper, change their clothes, feed them, and put them back down. They're ready to go nap. So the sleep is very immature and the sleep cycles are not established at this age. So you're not going to be able to set your clock when they should nap from 0 to 3 months. You are going to watch wake windows, which is very important. They might be taking 4, 5, 6 plus naps a day at this age, and that's okay. If they have day-night confusion, you want to nap them in the daylight if they have day-night confusion so their body can start getting adjusted to nighttime cues versus daytime cues. Napping in the daylight can help adjust that, getting them outside more during the day for sunlight. Once that day-night confusion is worked out, you want to nap them in a dark environment, make it as dark as you can, quiet, sound machine, those type of things going. That can help with some of the day-night confusion. The next thing we're going to talk about is 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months of age, we're usually seeing 3 to 4 naps a day. You can start seeing more consistency in their timing. You can start seeing maybe where some are trying to form more of a schedule in that 4 to 6 month range. You are going to see cat nappers. 4 to 6 months of age is the biggest age of serial cat nappers, as I call them. Again, because their sleep cycles are changing, melatonin is setting in place now at night, we have stress hormones in the day, we have where they now have to truly learn how to link those sleep cycles. Naps are developmental. Between 4 and 6 months of age, if sleep foundations are laid at bedtime and overnight, and we have sleep going in the right direction overnight, and we have better happening, we can start working on crib nap consistency during the day. Meaning at 4 to 6 months of age, we can start working on getting them to fall asleep and put themselves to sleep for a nap. helping and working on linking those sleep cycles. The best nap of the day is the first nap to start working on this. It's the best to have the best time to them to put themselves to sleep is that first morning nap. Helping them link that sleep cycle or see if they can move into the next sleep cycle is the first nap of the day. That's always the best to work on. You don't want to go in and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon one day decide, well, I'm going to see what they can do. As the day goes on, stress hormones rise. They start to get more ill where they may have had more choppy, short naps in the day. They are going to get more frustrated in the afternoon. So start with that first nap of the day. Also, 4 to 6 months of age. You usually, again, I said that you're seeing 3 to 4 naps, and your wake times in that 4 to 6 months is usually 2 to 2.5 hours is going to be your wake windows. Once you hit about 6 to 7 months, some families want to try by the clock. That's when you can really start trying the by the clock is 6 to 7 months, where you want to say they wake at 7, they nap at 9, 1, and 4, and try and put them on more of a by the clock. That can happen around that age. Naps, if you've been doing naps on the go, naps assisted, those type of things, at 4 months to 6 months, we want to start removing that. We don't get as much restorative sleep when we are doing on the go naps once we are out of that newborn stage and hit that 4 months to 6 month age. Naps are most restorative in the crib, and that means that babies are being able to developmentally, they're getting the sleep they need, they're getting better restorative sleep, they're growing, their brain is growing, they're working on milestones, they're able to rest and recover physically during those naps, and that happens the best in the crib. So we want to start removing that. Now once we get to 7 to 9 months, usually 7 to 9 months is a 3 to 2 nap transition. I have a great blog post on my website about the 3 to 2 nap transition. It tells you what to look for. It tells you how to get through it. It gives you tips. Go find that on my blog post at serenitysleepers.com for additional help there. Usually, wake windows are 2.5 hours to 3 hours. At this age, we most definitely can start seeing more of a schedule. You can start working on them putting themselves to sleep for the nap. You can start working on lengthening that nap. This is a great age to start seeing all those things happen. You want to have more cribs in the more naps in the crib versus on the go for sure in 7 to 9 months. The last nap of the day, if they're on 3 naps a day, it's a cat nap. It bridges the gap until bedtime. So if that's a stroller nap or a car nap or you hold them for that, usually that's okay because it's just that nap and it's the hardest one in the crib. Now once they're down to the 2 solid naps, that's where you can really, really work on that consistency of watching their wake window. If you want to use by the clock, go for it. It's a great age for it. You can try, again, at 9 o'clock. Say they nap at 9 and they nap at 1. But the biggest factor is linking those sleep cycles again. The first nap of the day is the best spot to do that. Putting themselves to sleep. That's what they initially have to do. If you put them to sleep, they're going to wake looking for you to put them back to sleep. So getting them to put themselves to sleep in the crib. What's most important is the initial onset of sleep. It doesn't matter if they sleep for 5 minutes or 25 minutes or an hour and 5 minutes. It's them putting themselves to sleep. That is a sign of progress. So remember that. Don't put all these expectations on yourself that they're going to fall asleep, they're going to link their sleep cycles, they're going to have a stellar nap, we're going to have all the naps in place. Do one goal at a time. Let's just first work on them putting themselves to sleep in the crib versus outside of the crib, you putting them to sleep. So that's the first expectation you need to make sure you have at any of this age is practice in the early newborn stage, and as they get older, them putting themselves to sleep inside the crib is a huge, huge goal, and pat yourself on the back for getting that to happen. The next thing we want to talk about is 10 to 18 months. 10 to 18 months, most babies, definitely 10 to 14 months, they should still be on 2 naps. But still from 14 to 18 months, a lot of babies still need 2 naps. So you want to make sure that they still have their 2 naps a day. Between 14 and 18 months is when some babies start to take away the 2 naps and go down to 1 nap. On my blog post, serenitysleepers.com, I have another great transition, 2 to 1 naps. So if you have additional questions on a 2 to 1 nap transition, head over there and it'll give you a lot of good details on what to look for and how to handle it. But at this age, what's important is a lot of times you can have a by the clock. You can still go by wake windows, but by the clock, again, you might nap 9 to 10 and you might nap 2 to 3 and you go to bed at 7:30. The biggest thing at that age as they get older is watching the daytime sleep. It can vary. If they're on 2 naps, they might need anywhere from 2 to 3 hours total day sleep. So you have to really balance the day sleep to make sure they're not taking up too much day sleep and it causes problems at bedtime or overnight at that age. Hands down at this age, 10 to 18 months, we need to be working on naps in the crib. We need to be getting them to fall asleep on their own, linking those sleep cycles. If they have rocky night sleep or rocky bedtime, it's going to be very hard to get crib naps going in the right direction. It's all a piece of the puzzle. So we've got to get bedtime, overnight sleep in a good spot, and then we can start working on these naps. Naps are one of the biggest things that I get clients coming to me for because they're ever changing and they're always evolving. And it is sleep science and a puzzle. So that is where I literally look at data every day, and we might tweak and change daily till we find the sweet spots, as I call them, the nap sweet spots on timing of when they're ready to go to sleep, where they'll easily fall asleep on their own, where they'll be linking sleep cycles. So I take that puzzle off of families because their heads just spin, and I do all the work for you on what's really needed. So we definitely want to get, better sleep happening by that age, 10 to 18 months. Now, once they hit 18 months and plus, we are usually down to 1 nap. The 1 nap can be anywhere from 2 hours up to 3 hours. And again, that's going to vary with the child, and it varies on when they woke up and when they went to bed. So those are all things we need to watch. A lot of times families, once they get down to 1 nap, really prefer to do a by the clock, meaning they're going to wake at 6:30, they're going to nap at noon, they're going to go to bed at 7:30. And that's totally fine. If your child isn't handling that very well, you need to go back to wake windows. Some babies just do better with wake windows and some do better with by the clock. At this age, you need to expect, and we want to be working on these crib naps are vital at this age. They are growing and developing by leaps and bounds when we hit that 18-month marker. Their vocabulary is exploding. They're starting to explore the world. So they really need that good restorative rest in their crib. So there is where you can expect 1 nap. Again, we have to work on a longer nap. It's got to be 2 to 3 hours. And that's why it's so important that you don't go from 2 naps to 1 nap too quickly. If you do, you can throw off their day sleep because they've got to be able to handle long wake windows for that 1 nap. So if they are up at 6:30, we can't do a nap too early because that can reinforce early morning rising issues. So if they wake at 6:30, you're ideally trying to get at least to 11:30, 12 o'clock for that nap. So be careful on that transition. Once we get to about age 2 and a half, and even 3, we can see regressions happen. Usually they always hit the nap. So you need to expect that, and you need to be prepared for that. That if you get to that 2-year-old marker, that a lot of times they'll start fighting you on naps. They'll start reducing their nap time. They might have choppy naps. And again, it goes into that regression that happens. So you need to be looking at, is anything changed in their environment? Are they starting a new preschool? Has something changed to make them be affected by that? Is this a developmental regression where they're starting to, walk and run more and use their words more, and they're starting to push boundaries? All those things can go into their regression. So it's important that you are writing down what's happening for your child. And I always say keep notes, and this is why, because if you hit a bump in the road and you have notes, or you've been keeping up with their sleep data, what time they go to bed, how they fall asleep, all these good things, you'll be able to, help yourself and your child better because you have details of what's happening. Also, this helps me, like when families come to me, I ask a lot of details before we even work together because I need to know what's going to be the best approach for their child. So that is breaking down each stage, what's expected from each stage, how long they should be napping at each stage, what's normal at what stage. Obviously, I could go much, much deeper into this, but just trying to give you an overview of what's happening at each of these stages and what we can expect. We desperately want to be getting these little ones their naps and work on lengthening those naps out in the crib. You know, once they hit that stage, that 4 to 6 month stage and beyond is a great time to start working on that so we can get the good restorative sleep. And then it also gives you some time in the day when they're napping, which is great for yourself. Now I'm going to go into our questions for the day. I had a lot of questions. If they need a passy, is that still considered putting themselves to sleep? Yes, if they can put that in themselves. A passy is a great soothing tool, and I love a good passy. The problem becomes if we have a younger baby and you're putting it in often for them, that becomes a dependency. So we want to keep the passy in place where we can, but we don't want them to become where you've got to put it in. If they become at the age, I've even seen 5 to 6 month olds be able to grab those passies and put it in their mouth. So place several passies in there so they can start holding it, playing with it, getting it towards their mouth, and that's a self-soothing technique for them. Children, babies, even up to toddlers, have a natural suck motion. It helps them soothe, so a passy can be a good way to help them soothe themselves, and it's completely fine for them to keep while they're sleeping. Next question. Let's see. 2.5-year-old has nightmares and terrors, naps 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon, sometimes runs to the parent's room where they can calm him easily, and other times he can't be calmed down at all. So the first thing I would talk about is setting boundaries in his bedroom. Number one, he's 2.5, and we don't want him running around or roaming around in the dark in the night. So I'd get some kind of safety boundary set up. You could do a gate at his door, multiple gates at his door. My 3-year-old has a gate at her door because she's upstairs by herself. So obviously I don't want her exiting the room. I still have a monitor up there because she is across upstairs and across the house. So I still have a monitor so I can hear if she needs me or something. So I'd set up some kind of safety feature there. That just gives control and boundaries and safety. Next, at 2.5, a 3-hour nap can usually be too much for a lot of kids that age. I would start making sure, usually around 2 hours, sometimes 2.5, you can do that. But I would also look at, I know you said he falls asleep very quickly at 8. I might even move bedtime up a little bit, you know, start at 7:45 to see make sure he's not overly tired. A lot of times when we see nightmares and night terrors, it's a lot of times due to lack of sleep or maybe being too overtired or overstimulated in the evening. So making sure you have a very calm evening routine. Make sure that you are watching what he's eating in the evening. No sugars, no dyes, no sodas, no caffeinated things. All those good things we know, but just watch that in the evening. If he's waking at a certain time, like it's always like 10:30 on the dot, one thing you can do is about 10-12 minutes before that time period, go in there to lightly arouse. You know, you might touch his shoulder, kind of rub his chest. Nothing, I mean, it's very gently. It's just trying to get him out of that sleep cycle to move into the next sleep cycle. So that's really important that you can watch and do that, and sometimes that helps them not go into that nightmare. Or the night terror. Now, when he comes to your room and he's easily calm, usually that's more of a nightmare versus a night terror. Intervening makes it much worse. So if the night terror is actually happening, it's usually best to not say anything. Make sure he's in a safe spot. Make sure that nothing's around him that he can harm himself, and let him come out of it, because the more you intervene on a night terror, the worse it will become. Also, in my Facebook group, there's been a lot of questions about nightmares and night terrors. You can search up at the top of search in the group, and it'll pull up all the topics we've talked about to give you some more in-depth answers as well. But that's where I would start with some of that. My son is 5 months, a little over 5 months, on 3 naps. Occasionally, first 2 aren't great, and he will take a long third. Is it best to wake or allow long nap late in the day? It's best to wake up. It's usually if you have a long, late third nap, it can cause bedtime and overnight issues. So it's best to cap that nap and not let it go too long into the evening or it can cause other issues. It's a really good question. 10-week-old, wanting to know, he goes to bed around 10 p.m. and has a feed, and mom wants to know at 10 weeks old if she can implement cry it out. So for this age, 10 weeks, there should be no crying it out methods introduced at this age. They're much too young. The 1 to 3 feeds overnight is very normal for a 10-week-old. One thing I would watch, a 10 p.m. bedtime as he's nearing 3 months can be late. You might start trying to pull that up a little earlier in the evening. And again, having the 1 to 3 feeds is very normal. But cried out, usually if you want to do the cried out approaches, whether it be extinction or graduated extinction, usually around 4 months is a good time period to start implementing that. Some say, a couple weeks before 4 months can be implemented, but a good age is usually around 4 months if you want to start using that. My 4-year-old is mostly well behaved during the day, but at bedtime she has started getting wild, hyperactive, and defiant. First, let me just send you a hug through virtually because I have a 3.5-year-old who's doing the same things, not every night, but some nights. She's recently stopped napping for the most part at school, so she's overstimulated, she's tired, so she's revving up in the evening, and I will admit there have been times that she's had like sugar in the evening, and that amps her up even more. So make sure you're watching the sugar, the dyes, the intakes in the evening, and also watching what she's watching, how stimulated she is in the evening leading up to bedtime. Mom says that she's jumping on the bed, taking the mattress off the bed, sliding on it. Yes, she can last for an hour or more. So I would say, number one, I assume she's no longer napping. I would really watch her bedtime. She may even, my 3.5-year-old, I get in the bed by 6:45 to 7 some nights because she's so exhausted before I know she's going to rev up. So I would look at moving that bedtime up. I would really start looking at, I call them bedtime boxes for older ages, where you can put some fun activities like stickers, coloring, manipulatives, those little lacing cards, some things that you can do that are, low stimulation puzzles. Kind of start introducing some of those things to her leading up to the evening bedtime routine and even a part of the bedtime routine, and let her pick some of those items out. That's really helpful. So she feels like she's doing something and being a part of the bedtime routine, and actually having a bedtime routine chart is fabulous, fabulous. She will actually feel like I've brushed my teeth, I put a sticker on, I have pottied, I've done this, now we're doing our puzzles. And so let her be a part of the bedtime routine. So she has ways to calm herself down because she's got activities that she's going to be doing, but they're low stimulation, and gives her something to do versus she's going to be all over the place, trying to throw the mattress around and slide on the mattress and all that stuff. Another thing is magnesium. There's a company called Raise Them Well. I use their products. A lot of us, even adults, we are lacking magnesium, and magnesium before bedtime can actually be calming, and they make a roll-on that is specifically for children, because you have to be very careful because some of the roll-ons and things can be too strong for the skin. So this roll-on you put on the bottom of their feet, and magnesium can actually help calm down. So I would look in that. It's called Raise Them Well. They have a lot of products. I use their vitamins. It's a husband and wife, and the husband is a doctor, so he actually knows more about the products, and I love that. So implement some of those things would be great. And then a weighted blanket is also great at that age, just to help calm her down in the evening when she lays down initially in bed. That weighted blanket can help. My 5-month-old sleeps in her crib all night except for waking once for a bottle. It's great, yes. During the day, we cannot lay her down to sleep. She wakes as soon as we lay her down. So number one, that's where we're going to talk about. She's at a great age on that first nap for her to put herself to sleep. Have a mini nap routine, lay her down. Again, you want her more awake, so she's initially putting herself back to sleep. That takes time and practice, yes, but that's what's going to be the biggest first key is her initially putting herself to sleep. Then once she settles off to sleep, if she wakes 5 to 30 minutes, that's again where you can work on that first nap of the day, trying to keep her in there, I say, for a full hour before you get her out. If she doesn't go back to sleep, and you need to decide what methods you want to use there. Do you want to assist and help her back to sleep? Or are you just going to assist using some techniques to calm her down and let her work herself to sleep? Do you want to do some more firmer approaches, such as, having spurts of crying spells in there? But that first nap of the day is going to be the best spot to start working on that. And then hopefully in the first part of this session that I answered a lot of those questions with the naps to give you some more details. My son is 15 months and currently I co-sleep due to housing arrangements. I'm also still breastfeeding. He sleeps okay during the night. Every now and then we'll wake to nurse, but nap times are the worst. I work from home. And trying to get him in a schedule for when I have meetings, but he seems to wake up after 30 minutes and come in the living room with me. So first you would want to talk, I assume he's on 2 naps, 15 months, he's probably still on 2 naps a day. First, because you are co-sleeping at night and he's used to falling asleep with you, he's going to expect that in the day. So co-sleeping, I work with a ton of families that want to co-sleep, which is perfectly fine and works out well for families if they want to do that. You just have to know that in the day, you have to kind of try and start working towards different associations. Like night, he knows he's going to sleep with you and co-sleep and need you to go back to sleep. But in the day, I would find something of yours like a t-shirt or something that you could put over a bear or put over a pillow that he could hold and try and snuggle to sleep. And again, working on that first nap of the day for him to fall asleep. And then when he wakes, I wouldn't bring him to the living room. I would keep him in his room for that time, trying to help him get back to sleep. And again, you can really, at this age, finding something of yours that he can start taking to and loving on, like a lovey, but it's something with your scent can always be helpful. And again, it's hard because he's a baby, so we can't tell him that, oh, nighttime is co-sleeping and mom's going to be here and I'm going to comfort you to sleep. And then naps are, you're on your own, I need you to link your own sleep cycles. So it's very hard to start to get where we have nighttime is one way and daytime is another, but you most definitely can start doing it. It's just working on, kind of goes back to the last question I was talking about, where we work on that first nap of the day, decide what technique you want to use to get him back to sleep when he wakes mid-nap, things like that. I think that is all the questions we had and all the information. I know it's been a little over 30 minutes and this session is jam-packed with information, but I hope that you will be able to pick pieces out and take this whole live and use it for naps and there's tons of great questions in here. And then also, I would be happy to hop on a 15-minute call with you. I'm getting so many families right now who are really determined to make 2021 a different year. Make it the year that we're going to have sleep and we're going to get it going in the right direction, and because it's so important. And I never want a family to feel sleep deprived. Yesterday I shared a story of a 4-month-old who I'm working with who had been up all night long. He was not able to put himself to sleep. He was having to be held. He was up every 1 to 2 hours overnight. Could not nap on his own, nothing. And we're only halfway into our time, and now he falls asleep at bedtime on his own. He sleeps usually a 6 to 8 hour stretch. He takes his feed, and he goes back to sleep until the morning. And then naps, he puts himself to sleep. He's linking those. Mom's having to wake him up from naps a lot of the time. So it's just really, she said, every parent should have you on their team and have you there to help them because, they had researched, they had tried programs, they had implemented it all and really felt hopeless. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get sleep. And really that one-to-one help and support was what has been the changing factor for her and her family. And she said, I wake with energy. My child has energy. I feel so much better and rested, and I know how to handle his sleep now. I know what to do moving forward. And that's what it's all about. It's just helping you get to those sleep goals that you need and deserve. So I'd love to set up a call with you. Let's hop on those discovery calls together and let's chat further about your situation, because at the end of the day, every child and every sleep situation is different. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have questions, we started off this. If you came in late, we were talking about Peloton. I was like, it saved me during this quarantine. So I love hearing from any of you who are working out, who are Peloton people. Shoot me a message because I would love to chat with you about that too. I hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoyable weekend. And I will be back live again next Friday, and we'll have new topic and we'll have our Q&A again. So I look forward to answering all your questions. Enjoy the rest of your day and weekend.